Welcome to a presentation of the theory of human caring. This is an introduction to the theory that we have chosen for nursing at St. Joseph Hospital. This theory was selected by the Clinical Practice Council with input from staff nurses throughout the hospital. We will begin with a reenactment of an actual patient situation in the pavilion pre-op holding department that features our own staff. This caring occasion is based on the clinical narrative written by Kathy Smith, registered nurse. Now let's begin. An autistic child arrived at the pavilion for dental surgery. She was afraid and didn't understand what was happening. As a result, the staff was presented with a challenging situation. Please notice the creative way that the nurse demonstrated caring. This is just but one instance that is demonstrated daily by the nurses at St. Joseph Hospital.
Katie, what are you drawing?
Quasimodo.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, now it's my turn? Okay, I'm not as good of an artist as you, but let me see. I'll draw a picture of myself. I think I am beautiful. Made myself with longer hair than I have. Okay, what does that look like?
Quasimodo.
Okay. Okay, your turn.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, this is Katie.
Hi, Katie.
And
I'm Diana.
this is the calmest that Katie has been. We've given her 10 milligrams of nasal Versed, and
Really?
it took four of us to hold her down to give it.
Okay.
The only thing that she's happy doing is sitting here in this chair drying. We couldn't even keep her in the bed.
So what did the physician say?
Well, I called Dr. Ramirez to tell him that we couldn't get her back in the bed, and he doesn't want to give her ketamine. He just
Okay.
wants us to figure something out. So,
So do you have any ideas?
well, let's try this.
Okay.
Katie, come draw with me. There should be a hat. Maybe Diana can give us both a hat.
There you go.
And we need one more because I
Okay.
want to wear a hat just like Katie's.
Here's matching hats.
Okay, what's that a picture of, Katie?
Quasimodo.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to be putting a warm blanket over you.
You're a much better artist than I am, Katie.
I'm going to lift this up. There we go. I'm going to put the side rails up.
Okay, I think we're ready to
I
go.
think we're ready to go.
Okay,
Ready to go.
and what is that, Katie?
Quasimodo.
Okay. Your turn.
What is a theory? A theory is used to describe, explain, and predict phenomena. It also guides critical thinking and decision-making in professional practice. A nursing theory is more specific to the practice of nursing with the purpose of guiding practice and research. Like an empty coffee cup, theories have a shape and boundary, but nothing concrete inside. They only come alive when they are filled with concepts, relationships, and goals. A nursing theory also assists with communication within nursing and with other disciplines. Here at St. Joseph Hospital, Our nursing theory is reflected in our nursing culture and practice through our philosophy, policy, and procedures, competencies, job descriptions, and relationships with communities and other disciplines.
And now an introduction to meta-paradigms. The term comes from two Greek words meaning with pattern. In general, a meta-paradigm is a model that is composed of concepts that are specific to a discipline. A meta-paradigm reflects agreement within a discipline and reflects the unique way in which a profession deals with experiences. A nursing meta-paradigm is a specific model related to the discipline of nursing. The nursing meta-paradigm addresses four distinctive concepts: nursing, person, health, and environment. The definitions of these concepts vary depending upon the nurse theorist describing them. Jean Watson, in her theory of human caring, describes these concepts of the nursing meta-paradigm in a unique way. A person is an integrated spiritual, mental, and physical being who exists as a living, developing entity. The development of self is an unending process in which the person evolves. Each moment shapes the next. Health is defined by Watson's theory of human caring as a unity and harmony within the mind, body, and soul. Health involves the installation of faith and hope and is holistic. It focuses on the entire nature of the individual in his or her physical, social, aesthetic, and moral realms. It is important to understand that the environment extends beyond the physical setting into non-physical dimensions that include emotions, feelings, and attitudes. Environment can be positive or negative energy. The potential to enhance or diminish healing is affected by the environment. Jean Watson shares that nursing consists of transpersonal human-to-human attempts to protect, enhance, and preserve humanity by helping a person find meaning in illness, suffering, pain, and existence. Nursing helps another gain self-knowledge, control, and self-healing, wherein a sense of inner harmony is restored regardless of the external circumstances.
Further, Watson shares her goal of nursing. The goal of nursing is to help persons gain a higher degree of harmony within the mind, body, and soul, which generates self-knowledge, self-reverence, self-healing, and self-care processes.
Here at St. Joseph's Hospital, our core values provide the foundation for nursing. Broadly applied to all nursing care, they are integrated into our Center of Nursing Excellence model. The following slides will review this model and illustrate the core values as they are reflected in Watson's theory of human caring. Watson's theory of human caring is found in the three domains illustrated in the blue ring of the model. It is present in the clinical practice arena, in our collaboration with others, and in our culture of caring. There is correlation between our core values and Watson's theory of human caring as shown on the next 4 slides. We begin with the core value of dignity. We serve each other as well as our community and society. The nurse is engaged and is committed to oneself and others. And finally, our core value of justice. We are responsive to the needs of each individual.
Now, let's get personal with Jean Watson. Yes, she is a real person, living and teaching in Colorado. And more about Jean Watson. Jean Watson developed the theory of human caring in 1979, and it has continued to evolve. We will now present an overview of the theory of human caring. We will define transpersonal caring and the caring moment, caring occasion, and we will introduce the clinical caritas.
All theories contain certain assumptions and values that are absolutes and must be accepted in order to understand and utilize the theory. These assumptions correlate with our core values. The human essence is much more than the physical body. It is an embodied spirit, a consciousness, always evolving towards wholeness. A unity of mind, body, spirit, all indivisibly connected. On a grander scale, a connectedness exists with person, nature, universe. Whatever happens to one affects the other. Caring in nursing potentiates healing and wholeness, assists the person to gain more self-knowledge, self-control, and readiness for self-healing, regardless of the health condition. It is greater than a nurse-to-patient relationship and is imperative to human and planetary survival.
Within the theory of human caring, nursing upholds a philosophy of moral commitment toward protecting human dignity, a high regard and reverence for a person and human life, a recognition of a spiritual dimension to life, and an internal power of human caring, growth, and change. Nursing upholds a subjective view of the person and their perceptions and experiences of the health, illness condition, and human autonomy and freedom of choice. And finally, the nurse values his or her unique role as a co-participant with the patient in the provision of care, the caring, healing processes and relationships as sacred, and the relationship between the nurse and the patient, an awareness of his or her role as predominant in caring healing. Guided by these assumptions, the theory was developed. Now, more specifics about the theory of human caring.
The theory focuses on the role of caring as integral to the healing of the patient. It is complemented by and integrated with the science of curing. The patient is viewed as whole and complete, regardless of illness or disease. This is a quote from Jean Watson that discusses the nurse-patient relationship, much more than simply an interaction. The nurse and the patient join in a mutual search for meaning and wholeness to potentiate comfort measures, pain control, a sense of well-being, wholeness, or even spiritual transcendence of suffering.
Transpersonal caring requires the ability to be present to self and others in a reflective manner. The transpersonal nurse has the ability to shift the focus and importance to caring, healing, and wholeness, instead of concentrating on disease, illness, and pathology. Nurses see patients as more than a disease. We see them as humans. Transpersonal caring relationships are the foundation for the theory. With transpersonal caring relationships, there is a seeking to connect with and embrace the spirit or soul of the other through the process of caring and healing. There is an authentic relationship where the nurse is wholly and truly present and available to the patient. In transpersonal caring relationships, we, as nurses, have an ethical commitment to protect and enhance the person's dignity and identify the patient's true self. We also thrive to preserve and honor the patient's inner spirit and avoid reducing the person to the moral status of an object.
A caring moment is an instance during which the nurse and another person connect in a way that creates an opportunity for human caring. During a caring moment, both individuals bring their unique experiences and perceptions to the occasion. This creates the possibility of a human-to-human transaction that is a product of both, yet distinct.
Transpersonal care and caring moments are those scientific, professional, ethical, yet aesthetic, creative, and personalized giving, receiving behaviors and responses between two people, nurse and other, that allow for contact between the subjective world of the experiencing person through physical, mental, or spiritual routes of some combination thereof, and the nurse. Caring moments are so much more than providing care. Nurses receive as well as give. We are privileged to enter the subjective world of the patient, and they enter ours as well. These are transpersonal moments. Now let's look at transpersonal care through human care transactions. This is so much more than words. It includes the nurse's unique use of self through movements, senses, touching, sounds, words, colors, and forms in which he or she transmits and reflects the person's conditions back to that person.
So how do we, as nurses, put the theory of human caring into action? Not only through caring moments and caring transactions, but also through something that Jean Watson likes to call clinical keratos. We are speaking Greek when we say keratos, since it comes from a Greek word meaning to cherish. These processes strengthen therapeutic healing and relationships, both for the one being cared for as well as the one providing the care. Jean Watson gives us 10 clinical keratos to guide our nursing practice.
We started the presentation with an example of caring in action at St. Joseph's Hospital. We would like to end with another example of an actual patient care situation here at St. Joseph's Hospital, narrated by the nurse who participated in that care. Listen for the many caring moments that occur during this situation.
Hi, my name is Joseph Barrera. I'm an ER nurse at St. Joseph's Hospital. I had just arrived at 0600 and received report from the night shift for the 7 patients in my zone. One of the patients was a 4-year-old boy who was in radiology getting a barium enema to help diagnose his abdominal pain. Other than a past medical history of a nociception, he was a healthy child. He returned several hours later from radiology. The barium enema was negative. The patient was to be sent home. I received discharge papers from the ED physician. I went to discharge the patient and obtained a final set of vital signs. I asked the child if he was ready to go home, and he said yes. After completing the blood pressure, the child immediately rolled over and was unresponsive. I turned him back over. He was becoming cyanotic. The mother was screaming that he was choking, but he was not choking. He was not breathing and had no pulse. At that precise moment, one of the ED physicians was walking by the room, and I called him into the room. He began to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and my patient care tech was doing compressions. I left to get more help and grabbed the crash cart, then immediately returned to the room. Another nurse and I were trying to start an IV. We were now doing a full code. The parents were right outside the door to the room, not wanting to leave the area. A staff member got them chairs and shut the doors to the other patient rooms. A staff member stayed with the family to explain the situation. One physician intubated the child while another attempted twice to start an intraosseous line. Medications were administered through the endotracheal tube. The code lasted between 1 to 1.5 hours. The child was asystolic during the entire code, not responding to any medications or treatment. The code was running so smoothly. Everything looked calm, but the whole time the staff was in disbelief that this had happened. He was talking 1 second, then coding the next. It was totally unexpected. The parents remained right outside the door, watching calmly, and were praying the entire time. When we finally ended the code, we took the family to the waiting room, and the physician and I explained that the child had expired. The family was distraught, but they also mentioned that the child's cousin had recently passed away. Their child and cousin had been really close. They related that they truly believed their child had just wanted to be with his cousin. After the code, I returned to my assignment, trying to catch up. It was very difficult to put on a smile for the other patients when all I could think about was a young boy who had just expired. The entire staff was affected. I noticed that my tech's eyes were still red and watery from crying. She mentioned that the child reminded her of her son. They were about the same age and of similar looks. I noticed that more family was arriving. They were praying together in the patient room. A while later, the parents exited the room and came to me at the central station. They came over to thank me. They said they knew we were really trying hard to save their son's life. They hugged me, and I finally broke down and cried. I had wanted to cry the whole time, but I tried hard not to. The parents left, and the boy went to the corner. However, the emotional tone of the ER remained sad for the rest of the day. Even a few days later, all the staff involved were still sad. The ER director called a social worker from CHOC to come and do a group debriefing. It was the first time I had ever done this. The ability to share allowed me to feel better. The other staff members involved also felt the session was very helpful. The social worker explained that at CHOC Oncology, every time a child expires, the social worker gave the staff something to remember the child by. In our case, they gave us a polished stone. I still have my stone. I keep it in a place where I see it every day. Although this experience happened several years ago, I think about it often. I teach PALS for the hospital, and one of the segments I teach pertains to death and dying in the pediatric patient. I tell this story as part of the class, stressing the importance of group debriefing and taking care of our emotional well-being so that we can continue to give good care to our patients and their families.
Often we hear about burnout, but increasingly we learn that the burnout is not because we care too much. because we wall ourselves off and close off our heart and close off our very source of love. And the human connectedness that gives us the life-generating force for this work. Why are we in this field? When it often seems that we are just there to fix the body, to give physical diagnosis and treatment. Healing is much more than that. Much more of what it's about comes down to us through the ages, from our ancestors and the wisdom traditions that call us into this work. And that's about honoring our very presence, our connectedness with another person in a given moment. And it is that caring moment that actually can be a critical turning point in my life, in your life, and in another person's life, as we touch another person's humanity. What if we revisited the very foundation of our work and began to honor the deep, rich beauty of our humanity? That must again flourish. Because this is what healing is about. And what if we realize that this is sacred work? And it's sacred because we're working with the life force of another person as well as ourselves on this shared journey. What if we began to pause and to realize that maybe this one moment with this one person is the very reason we're here on Earth at this time. Any health practitioner today is struggling to return to the very human depths of our work. And we know that when we're connecting with another person in this deep way, even if it's for a brief moment in time, that we have much more purpose in our life and in our work. And we know that when that's missing, there's an empty void, and we're dispirited. And we also know the same thing happens with patients. When we hold them in their wholeness, we're holding their healing for them. And we are helping to sustain them when they are most vulnerable. And as we sustain another person, we're also sustaining ourselves. This work is a spiritual practice. When we touch another person physically, we're touching more than just their body. We're touching their mind, we're touching their heart, We're touching their very soul. And when we look into the face of another person, we look into the infinity and the mystery of the human soul. And when we look into the mystery and the infinity of the human soul, it mirrors the infinity and the mystery back into our soul. And that's what connects us with this infinite field of universal love that we draw upon in our caring and healing practices. So I offer this as a blessing for you and your work in the world and in your heart as you open to the love that you have to give and to the purpose of your calling into this noble and ancient profession.